What's good, fam? It's your boy Jorge. Welcome back to another episode of Hanging with the Boys. I got my boy in the studio today, or actually in his house. So thank you for letting me come in.
Sure.
What's up?
Nothing. I'd like to start out the podcast today by saying, nice hat.
Thanks.
I like it.
Yeah.
Spreading the love.
I didn't notice we actually had the same one on.
Yeah. I did it on purpose because I wasn't wearing a hat when you got
okay.
here. So I went and I put this one on. But we're here in my house. My house is about this big. So what everybody's seeing right now is basically my whole house.
Mm-hmm.
It's very small. And we're jamming.
Yeah. So, I've talked about it on the show recently because I called it a mini tour. We did a mini tour.
Kind of was.
Yeah. So we did some shows for FMX Rampage, your company. But it's nice to have you on here so I could ask you, what do you think about the shows and how do you think they went?
Well, I'd say first of all, it was definitely a little mini tour. It felt kind of cool to be on the road like that and to have a couple back-to-back shows. I'd like to do more of that. I think these last two went great. Mm-hmm. I think the first one of the year was very, very suboptimal for me. Like, I don't know what exactly it was. Maybe a couple things I didn't have in place that I, figured out later in the year, like Placerville show, I think was still good, but like in my head, it was like chaotic and like nothing was like controlled and like most everybody was like lost the whole time. And it just didn't feel good. When I got done with it, I was like, I know that was pretty good, but it didn't feel really good. So honestly, I had like, what did I have? 2 months basically to just stew on that. And I did, man, like all the time. I like immediately wrote down a bunch of notes about like what I thought about the show that needed to be changed. And I obviously saw from that show that like, fuck, we just had way too much shit going on. I was trying to have way too much shit going on. I was trying to be like, oh, we need this prop for this segment. We need this prop and that prop. And then we got to change this song here. We got to add this effect. And I just was like, it's too much. Like for the skeleton crew we have running this, it's too much. It's not sustainable. It's too hard to make sure everybody's at the right place at the right time and the right prop gets brought out exactly when we need it.
Yeah.
And I just really spent a lot of time kind of going over things and seeing what I could remove, change, adjust. And I was super fucking nervous going into, Oregon. Polk County, Oregon was the one that we did first.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to say I was super fucking nervous, right? Because I won fucking X Games in 2007 when there was, back when it was TV only and there was literally millions of people watching.
Well, back when it was cool.
Yeah. Like, and then now I'm going to Polk County, Oregon with 1,000 people at a rodeo grounds.
They had one motel in the town.
Yeah, one motel at a rodeo grounds. And I'm like, ooh, I was really nervous. But I was, because like I take pride in this and I know that this is the first step in the next direction of my career, which is promoting my own shows and creating my own shows. But I was really nervous going there anyways, to get back to what I was saying. And I think when we got there, I think the changes really helped. I think I was like, dude, I was overwhelmed by the support of the crew, by how hard everybody worked. You, Cole, Bo, Javi, your son, like everybody was just so helpful and everybody like knew what they were doing and had a mission. And then showtime, like just a couple changes and everybody was able to follow along. And like, I thought it was so good. So we did Polk and it was like this overwhelming feeling of success.
So that makes you feel good. Going from 2 months of being like, dang, that first show. Even though I will say, like, I agree with what you said about the first show. But at the end of the day, you saw the faces in the stand, the kids and the families, and they all still were entertained. So it's not like on our end, because we know exactly how we envision it or how the show should go. So we think like, oh, that kind of sucked. But crowd wise, they don't know the difference. Yeah. So they go and see a freestyle show and they're super excited. So I will say that, but I get what you're saying, that you were bummed out about it. So going into that show, afterwards you were relieved, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I was super relieved. And yeah, I agree with what you're saying about the Placerville show too. Like, I still think that we delivered a show that was better than anybody else's shows that are going around right now in this same market, basically. I know that like what we're doing right now isn't comparable to like an indoor nitro circuit show at the Staples Center, because it's two completely different things. You know what I mean? But like for the market that we're in, and for the budget that we do things on, and the crew that we have, like I do still think at Placerville we delivered a show that was better than anything else anybody's doing right now. And like I said, I don't think it went exactly the way I had envisioned it in my head, and that's why it felt like that. So still good, yeah, but after Polk County, man, I felt like the weight was off. The next day we drove the whole day to Utah, and I wasn't stressed. I wasn't nervous. We woke up. I knew we had a late load in Oregon. Yeah. We didn't have a late load in, but now we knew that we could load in later. So I was like, fuck, I don't got to be there all day like I have been the last couple times. And really wasn't nervous. Like I was like, the crew's got it. I got it. We got it. Mm-hmm. I think we're going to crush. And I think we did.
Yeah, that was a great show.
Yeah, except for, Cole.
Yeah. The
Cole
crash. Yeah.
Yard sale on himself and right at the end. Whoo! Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was fun. It was a good time, and we have a show coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I believe it's 2 weeks in Eureka, California, Redwood Acres Fair. So we're kind of still waiting to see if Cole's going to be available for that one. I'm not sure if he ever went to the hospital, but he thought maybe he re-broke his leg a little bit is kind of the way he said it to me.
Yeah.
So still kind of waiting to hear from him. But yeah, I mean, I'm like a little nervous because I think you're the best when you're getting those reps in, when you're doing something over and over again. So the little bit of time off kind of makes you wonder, like, are we going to pick up where we left off? But I'm pretty confident. Like, I think I'll get the jitters, but like I'm pretty confident that it's going to be good. I think we got a system in place, and I'm just kind of working on a couple little things in the meantime to still try to make everything simpler still. But
well, I think the hardest thing is, our shows are so sporadic that they're not like every single weekend. So the hardest thing is when a different show, like those shows we were doing were about an hour 20.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I'd say they were an hour and 20 of action. And then we had, we put like a 10 or 15 minute intermission.
Yeah. So like basically an hour and a half.
90 minutes for sure.
Yeah. 90 minute show. So say like we went and this weekend's show was 30 minutes. So that the whole script changes. And that's, I think, when it's the hardest. So that's when I would be nervous too. But if the show in Eureka is basically what we did before, I think it's solid. Like,
yeah, I agree with you. And I think about that all the time when I get calls for like different types of shows. And they're like, hey, we want you as like, just a side act. Can you do 2 or 3 shows a day? And obviously, yeah, I can. But to me, it's like, all right, I have to develop a new playlist. I've got to figure out the show. Like, I want an actual show plan. I really don't want to ghost ride through this the way a lot of people in freestyle do, which is like, all right, we're going to do an upright jam session, and then we're going to do a whip contest, and then we're going to do some flips, and then trains, and then we're done. And I know it's like the format I'm going to do is very similar to that as well, but like, dude, I just want more to it, no matter what we're doing, whether we're doing 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or 90 minutes, I want it to be a little more than the basic vanilla freestyle show. And so, yeah, when I get called for those different time frames, that there's a whole lot of work that goes into it of figuring out like, all right, what's the best way to fill in an hour or 30 minutes that is exciting and entertaining and new and has good sound and all this shit.
Yeah, you want to take basically the best of the 90 minutes you have and condense it to 30 minutes. So what is worth taking out and what's worth keeping in type deal. So I know that's very hard, but for the people listening that haven't watched the show or haven't seen it on Instagram, FMX Rampage on Instagram, it's a production. So we're not just talking about a freestyle show that guys just go out like what he said and do whips and all that. There's actual production side to it. So cutting one section out, you have to figure it out. Like, does that make sense? Right.
Yeah.
So that's why I think, that's where the nerves kick in. Cause it's your show. So you're doing it and you tell me this is what we're doing. I'm like, all right. So then it's like, all right, is it going to work as smooth as what I know?
And it's funny. I always think of that because I'm like, I'll show you the playlist and I'll show you basically my script, 6 pages of script. And I'm like, all right, here's what we're doing. And I'll tell it to you. And I'm like, it's got to be so hard for him because like this is in my brain. Like this came from my brain and it's in there. And like I can almost just tell you the whole show from point to point. But I know how hard it is when somebody tells me something and they're like, hey, I want you to do this. Yeah. I'm like, okay. So like, it's got to be tough. But I mean, like I said, you've definitely crushed it with that. Like the whole crew, I think, has been like surprisingly great. Mm-hmm. Devin was a little shaky at the first show, but he got thrown into the deep end. But everybody's really, really rallied to like know their part and do great. And I think like with the sound, you know, it's funny. I'll look up to you at a part of the show where like if something's going haywire or if we're right on track, and you're just like finger hovering over the button, looking at me like, I'm like, oh, he's fucking on it, man.
Yeah, you gotta be on it. So it's fun, dude. It's that's the thing. I don't even realize it's 90 minutes.
Yeah, it goes pretty quick. I realize it's 90 minutes and a couple of those when we do the jam sessions where it's like this segment into five laps. And those 5 laps, I'm like, holy shit, man. Yeah. 5 jumps in a row right now. It's a lot.
But I'm sitting there watching the same thing over and over, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, but it goes by so fast because I'm like you're saying, I'm paying attention. I have to be on cue or whatever. So, and then the show ends and I'm like, okay, that was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a rewarding thing for me for sure. I'm liking this a lot. And like, you know, I haven't 100% committed to this, but dude, it's really like weighing heavy on me right now. And I'm thinking about like basically quitting everything else.
Okay. So that's what I was going to ask. What's 100% committed to it mean? Quitting riding anyone else's shows?
Pretty much. Mm-hmm. Like I'd ride Nitro because I like Nitro.
Oh, okay.
And not to make this all about money, obviously, because like I have always liked being associated with the Nitro Circus brand. I've always loved it. I've always felt like Nitro Circus is like the highest caliber show in action sports, you know, and I've always loved it. And we've had such a good crew. And I know that like there's been a lot of like, you know, separating people going their different ways or like production, you know, kind of dissolving and new people coming in and out. But like it still feels kind of like home to me. So like I want to ride that because I like it. But also like it's the best way to make money in action sports right now. Because say you do a 6-week tour with 30 stops and you get like, first of all, I wouldn't ride a tour where they didn't like pay me per stop. Mm-hmm. Just because I know some of these other ones do that. Like, you know, Monster Jam and stuff like that, they'll just pay you for a weekend and they don't pay well for a weekend either. So like, I don't want to go down that road. But anyways, 6 weeks, 30 stops, paid per show. You make a good chunk of money.
What happens if you get hurt and you don't ride a weekend or a show? You don't get paid?
Yeah, you just don't get that fee.
Oh, okay.
If you sit out a whole show, you don't get it. If you get hurt like during a show, you still get paid for that show. But like, yeah, man, if you don't ride the show, there's no guaranteed pay. Right. So you got to make it through the tours. But assuming you do, you make a big amount of money in a small amount of time. And if you have 2 of those a year, which hopefully will be a future for us with Nitro Circus, you know, like a spring and fall tour. Well, my stuff's not really that active that time of year anyways.
Yeah.
And if I had both of those, you don't quite, but you make enough to where you're almost like, I'm pretty good. You know, I know enough other stuff will come in to like fill that hole and I'll be right where I need to be. So for one, it's really good monetarily. For 2, I've really enjoyed it. But yeah, 100% committed would mean like, I'm fucking done riding for everybody else. I don't want to do it. You're not going to see me at somebody else's fair show in Montana. You're not going to see me at somebody else's rodeo in California. Like, I'm done. I'm like getting to the point where some of it for other people, I enjoy so little that I think it's bad for me to do it. Mm-hmm. And if I don't do it, it's going to be one of those things that forces me to put more time and energy and effort and more of myself into my thing. Yeah. Which is, I think, how you make things grow.
Yeah, motivates you. And like I told you before, dude, like personal conversations we've had, and I don't know how this will sound to like another promoter or anyone hiring people, but like I've told you, you get hired to do like a Montana show for someone, they're selling your name. They're saying,
dude, exactly.
Adam Jones is coming, and they're like, who's that? Maybe.
Exactly. And then you know what? I don't mean to be rude, but they pay me dog shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you're actually using my name to advertise, which is okay.
Yeah.
You're paying me dog shit, which is okay because I agreed to it. But like, why am I devaluing myself?
Yeah.
Like, why wouldn't I, if I have a name, I'm an X Games gold medalist who still rides and who still rides well and who has never left the sport. I've been in here in the spot that I'm in for a long fucking time. Like, why wouldn't I just be like, you know, you want an X Games gold medalist putting on a show and being in a show, gotta hire me.
Yeah. And that's what I've always told you. Like, you bypass the middleman. And that's why I said, I don't know how this is going to sound to like the guys hiring, because they probably won't like it, but it's the truth. You bypass these guys and you hire you, which you have your own show now, and you're going to be writing your own show.
Yeah.
So you're not hiring Joe over here, and hopefully Joe gets Taka or Adam Jones, these guys that do all the tricks, right? Now you're hiring the guy that does all the tricks, and it's his show.
And has made his fucking lifetime career in this sport. Like, don't fucking tell me anybody is going to give more of a shit about making a great show than me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, I've grown up on contests and like large scale production shows, like Krusty, like Nitro, like Nuclear Cowboys. I grew up on all that stuff and I really like that stuff. So like, I want to make that stuff. And I don't think there's anybody that wants to do that good better than me. So like, yeah, if you want me, you got to come to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to, I tell you what else, like, now that I see what it takes to make a good show, which is a lot of fucking effort and a lot of fucking time. And I know that it's possible to do it on the same fucking budget everybody else gets for these shows. It frustrates me when people put in no fucking effort to their shows, to the point where I'm like, I'm annoyed while I'm writing it, because just make it cool.
Yeah.
Like, we are burning the reputation of freestyle motocross by doing these effortless bullshit shows.
Yeah.
You know, like, freestyle motocross is already having a bit of an uphill battle. Like, well, we need to try our hardest then to make sure that the audience has a fucking awesome time and goes, that was really cool.
Yeah.
And I get so annoyed now doing these shows where there's no effort, there's no nothing, and it's complete fucking bullshit, that I'm just like, I don't think I want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me happy. It actually makes me not sad, but it makes me like really flat. Like, I feel nothing after doing these. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree with that, because, you know, I've been in the sport just as long too, and I've seen it from being at the highest. And what I said, like, X Games was cool back then. Now it's like, it's on YouTube. You could watch it on TikTok live. Yeah. You can't even watch it on ESPN no more.
You can't find it.
Yeah.
Unless you're actively looking for it very hard.
Yeah.
You'll never watch X Games.
So, and it's just the same stuff. And there has to be a word for it. But, you know, when you have the same riders doing the same stuff, and the announcers their minds are being blown because that's what they're told to do to keep that excitement going. It's like, to me, it's pretty lame.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you don't have to react like that. Like, we saw Jacko do that last year or whatever it is, you know, like, it's stuff like that. But that's what they try to do to just sell it so much more. And it's like, back in the day, it really hit. Now it's like, you guys are just trying too hard, I think.
Are you talking about X Games announcers? Are you talking about them specifically, or freestyle show announcers?
No, well, I think everything.
Yeah.
You know, but just X Games, how it's really gone downhill.
Oh yeah.
Dude. But point being, it's just not that cool anymore. But yet, freestyle is really cool. You go to a show, you watch you watch any of these guys do tricks, and you're like, holy shit! I mean, it's still cool. Yeah. I watch guys do, you know, whips or whatever, and I'm like, damn, like Patrick Evans doing whips. I'm like, holy shit, that's amazing. And I've been around it for so long.
Yeah.
And I still get impressed, right?
Yeah.
But the state of FMX and even motocross, and we can get into it because I want to talk about that, it's just not that cool.
Yeah.
You have to have like these characters, how we were just talking about.
Well, before we go to the characters, I think it takes I think it takes a lot of effort to make FMX cool nowadays. And in the show thing, it's like what we've been talking about. It's building a show. It's forcing the audience to be, part of the show and be invested in it and have fun. It's also not giving them too much freestyle where they're over it. Like, dude, a lot of promoters, when you ride for them and they have no show plan and you're just doing laps. Right? They don't have a show plan. They don't know how to fill the time. So you literally just do laps. It's fucking free ride after free ride after free ride. And it's fucking terrible. I'm so sick of freestyle by the end of it. Right? Yeah. And that was like one of my goals. I hate to give away my secrets to all the people out there who are looking to undercut shows. But anyways, try not to give them too much freestyle. Right? Yeah. And I think it takes a little bit of effort. And like, I think there's going to be a changing of the guard. Like, I'm pretty sure, I actually haven't messaged him, but I'm pretty sure like Harry Bink might have just started his own shows over in Australia too. And then there's me. And then Sayers does obviously amazing in freestyle motocross to have a whole bunch of shows everywhere. But we're going to get riders that are promoting shows and that give a fuck because they have to give a fuck and they've had to give a fuck their whole careers because this is all they know. Yeah. Harry Bink is not going to be a rocket scientist. I'm sorry, Harry. You just don't have it in you. But he's going to be a freestyle motocross guy. And if he can't be a freestyle motocross guy, he's going to promote freestyle motocross shows with passion. So I think there's more riders coming in with passion. And I think there's these old fucking guys. This is actually what I think the explanation is. These old fucking guys that have been promoting since we were busy riding contests are going to be out. Yeah. Because there's no contest. There's no big this thing to focus on. That's right. That's exactly what it is. We were doing all that stuff. We were riding X Games, Dew Tour, Red Bull X Fighters, stuff for Feld, stuff for Krusty. And there was these promoters who were they didn't ride. They knew about freestyle a little bit. They thought they could make some money at it. They jumped in. They took over the show scene. They did a shitty fucking job. And they've just been able to hang on since then. And they're going to be out because now there's not much else for us to do except for find a way to make freestyle awesome again. Yeah. No, and that's a good point, dude. Going from, like, you guys have seen every tour. So you guys see what good happened and what bad happened, how shitty they ran it or whatever. Now you guys are at the reins there and being like, all right, this is how Krusty did it, and this was really cool. Yeah. So this is how we're gonna do this part. But this also sucked, so we're not gonna do it this way. Yeah, like bedazzling gear. That's one thing we learned maybe you shouldn't do. You shouldn't bedazzle gear. Yeah. Never works. Yeah, no, not for motocross. Yeah. But the X Games thing, before we move on to that too, I've been saying this for a lot of years. And the X Game thing, how stale freestyle motocross is in X Games, it's because they're only doing best trick. Like there's not enough new stuff coming out for best trick anymore. Best trick was awesome because it used to be like, what are they going to try? Are they going to land it? Yeah. And it's the same shit now. And I mean, no disrespect to the guys doing the same shit because it is gnarly, but there's not enough new stuff to keep doing that. Yeah. But for a promoter, it's an event dream. All we got to do is make one landing and these guys are going to go do stuff and we'll make a TV show out of it. Yeah, and they make money because it's not that big of a production. And also no disrespect for the fact of, not that I want to see you guys crash, but dude, going into X Games and knowing, 1 year we were there and we knew Chuck Carruthers was going to try the Corolla. Yeah. Dude, everyone's like, holy shit, is he going to land this? Like, what's going to happen? Yeah. And just the fact that that this guy could crash. Yeah. Not that it makes it exciting, but also it makes it like you're anticipating like what's going to happen. And then he landed it. Yep. And then Travis the next year, I think does a double backflip and it's the same stuff. And nowadays I'm like, all right, well, these two guys are doing double backflips and I know they land it. Yeah, it's very calculated now, which it has to be for a rider's safety for sure. But if it is going to be really that calculated, like I said, like maybe best trick shouldn't be a thing anymore. Like I do think that freestyle moto could be maybe not as cool, but cool enough to be like primetime television again. Yeah. Like skate and like BMX where they have courses and like a run is the only way to make it cool. And you can only make it cool with an interesting course that challenges the riders. So every jump is not set up fucking perfectly, right? When we used to do Dew Tour in the early days, Red Bull X Fighters, I didn't fucking like it that much, right? Because it was hard. And I always wanted to be able to do my best tricks on every jump. And I never could do it. I think I said this on the podcast before, but back in the day, Mike was just like, dude, just fucking settle down. Just do like tone your run down a little bit. And I could never do it. And that's why I fucked up so many runs in my early days, because there was like this, I have to do my best run. But like, anyways, what makes it exciting is when the course is not perfect and every jump is not exactly the same. And you hit this jump that's a little bit of a hip, or you had to turn coming into it and you're like, all I can do is a trick where I'm whipped a little bit to the left. Maybe I'll have to do like a disco can off of that. And everybody's watching and you do a disco can kind of whipped out and your crowd's like, I haven't seen a fucking disco can in 15 years. That was pretty sick. But like, that's what makes it cool. Yeah. You make a 3-jump course and you do the same tricks that you did for the last 8 years in that 3-jump course. It's fucking boring. It's dead.
And I think also what makes it cool is like where we're talking about best trick. It's impressive. And, you know, I don't want the listeners to think that we're the cool guys that it's like we've been around so long that like double backflip, you know. But I just said that, okay, I know those guys are landing and it's not that big of a deal. But on a course that's gnarly, they just did their full run, and then in the middle of the run, they pull out a double backflip. Then you're like, holy shit. Yeah. He just double backflipped that. Yeah. Then to me, that's really cool. But like I said, I'm a little bit harder to please, I guess. But it makes it a lot cooler, I think, than just knowing that these guys are just landing this stuff all the time.
Yeah. I think what you said hit the nail on the head about like the anticipation of the unknown with the courses, you know, and stuff was a lot less perfect back when we were doing it back in the day. Gosh, I sound like such a cocksucker.
Well, dude, but like it's like sports. Take sports for example. Why do people hate the Patriots and Tom Brady so bad? Because they knew they were going to win every Super Bowl, like when they were on that run. So imagine your team wins every year. You're not that excited to watch your team. Yeah. They're just going to win. You know?
Yeah.
But the reason sports is so cool because you could be the Falcons versus the Patriots that year. They went to the Super Bowl. I'm the biggest Falcons fan, so I had it in the bag going into the halftime. I think they're up 28-0, and then they come out and lose the Super Bowl. Like how, you know, that, like I guarantee you all Patriots fans were just like in heaven, just that happening, you know. But that wouldn't happen if your team just always wins.
Yeah, if everything went exactly the way it was. And when the courses were like a little weirder. Like I remember one year, you know, Sheeny was back in the day, at least Sheeny was the most dialed double backflip guy. And we were at Madrid and they had built I know that's just a center landing. It's a little basic, but like they had built one of the landings a little strange. And he was like jumping it in practice and was just kind of like, oh man, I don't know. Like, and he ends up double flipping it. And then in the show, like front tire clipping it and almost crashed. And then I think he crashed on it one time. And I'm not saying I want that. I don't want anybody to crash, but I understand what you're saying, that like when things aren't cookie cutter, here's the exact ramp that you've been double back flipping on at home at the exact specifications. We've checked the angles. The landing's the exact same height and the same degree. At that point, it's like, all right. Yeah. This is a little...
Well, it's kind of like in Moto when Tomac was dominating, like people were bored. When Villapoto was dominating, people were like, dude, I hate that guy, you know, because he was just dominating. So I think that always happens. But I have a question as far as freestyle, because I don't pay attention too much. But so it seems like there's the shows that happen, or maybe the tours or whatever, and it's kind of the same guys. Has there been many new young bloods coming in that are making a splash or a noise? Because I haven't heard of anyone. So you see like everyone that rides with Keith, it's like all the monster dudes, Twitch, all those guys, like Axel, you know, maybe him, but he's not really like a freestyle guy.
Yeah.
And then you have like the Australian guys. Obviously they got all the Australian riders over there.
Yep.
And then, you know, other than that, you never hear of any like new people. So if there's not new riders coming up just making some noise, what's going to happen?
Yeah. Well, there's definitely not any riders making noise, but there are some riders that are coming up that are like, they're getting pretty good, like pretty proficient with flipping and like flip combos, and they're good, but they have nowhere to prove that they're good. They have nowhere, and I mean, this is not a disrespectful thing. This is a bummer thing. They have nowhere to go to make their name a staple in the sport.
Right.
To make them to where they're like, oh, that guy's coming? Cool. There's nowhere for them to go for that. Mm-hmm. And that's like a bummer. But through Keith, Keith has developed like a couple he's developed a pretty good community of riders and stuff. And there's a couple guys that I met in his shows that are crushing it.
Kyron, new guys though?
I mean, they can't be too new because they're doing flip combos and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're newish, like Kyron Ursua.
Nope.
He's a Montana kid. He's doing, flips and flip combos now. Colton Polinsky, is that his last name?
Never heard of him.
Sorry if that's the wrong last
But that's
name.
good. That's what I'm saying.
Sick flip combos and stuff like that. Good rider. It's a strange pickle that I think those guys are in right now. If you do get some good flip combos and ride really well.
Yeah.
Because for my show, for instance, I have 4 riders I can hire. If I get the budget I want, I have 4 riders I can hire. So one of them's me. And then I hire Javi because Javi's got sick everything.
Yeah.
And then honestly, your next 2 are kind of like lower budget. If you want to make the budget work to where you're not to where you're actually still making money, you're not just, doing a full show and going through all the work at the same price as just riding the show, you should obviously make more money for promoting and building and creating and all that stuff. But, so your next 2 riders are kind of lower budget riders. And I guess, usually one of them's a non-flip guy. And one of them is maybe like a flip guy that's like got a flip and maybe a knack flip and then not a big bag, But anyways, point being is that like I have one piece of budget for a second flip rider who's proficient at flipping.
Yeah.
And it's X amount of dollars, and I usually pick Javier.
Yeah.
So if there's another kid who doesn't have any name in the sport and rides just as good as Javier, I'm not going to pick him.
Right.
And I don't mean that to be rude, but it's like, okay. And then my third spot is not for a guy that's as good as him.
Right.
So it's hard that they came up and they got really good, but at a time when they're not able to build a name. Like,
yeah, dude, because back in the day, it was like, all you United States guys, obviously there's a ton, but then you go to like Matt Rabaud, you go to Danny Torres, Villa, like all those guys. There was like guys everywhere, and you guys were all kind of on the same level.
Yeah, and you had to flip, and then once you flipped, you were going to make some fucking money back then. And like now, some of the guys that I've had that are upright riders, and they're pretty solid, and they're like, oh, I want to learn to flip, and they'll go learn to flip, and I'm just kind of thinking in my head like, I can't really use you anymore if you start flipping. Like, I know you're going to raise your rates, which I totally understand. But like, I don't need that.
Yeah.
Like I have that. This is why I decided to do FMX Rampage is like, well, I can wear a lot of hats. I can be the main trick guy and I can own the setup and I can produce the show and I can also announce and I can do all these things. And then wearing those 4 hats at one event, like I actually make some fucking money for the first time in 10 years,
Yeah.
And, as much as I want to help everybody out, like there's only so much budget to play with. And if a guy who's my upright guy for a reason starts flipping and then he wants double the money, I'm like,
yeah, you had a role.
I don't have it anymore, dude.
Yeah.
Like
you had a role and your role's still the same.
Yeah.
Just because you could do this other stuff.
So
now.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard for kids that want to get into this. Like, I don't know what to tell them. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to do it. Hopefully we can do a really good job with these shows and we can get more budget and then we can just go, fuck it. 4 good flip guys. We got the budget to get 4 good flip guys. Let's do it. That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
But especially just starting and everything, it's like you get what you get. You don't have too much ground to stand on to say, well, I know you're offering me that much, but I only do it for this much. You're kind of instead like, all right, like, let me see if I can figure it out.
Yeah. So I brought up characters earlier, but let's talk about basically the only character in motocross.
Twitch.
Deegan.
Oh. In motocross. Sorry, motocross.
To switch little gears here, what do you think of him, his statement? I don't know if you saw it, but not riding the nations.
I didn't. I only saw moto memes like something with a bald eagle about him. Like,
oh yeah,
looking
yeah,
tough,
I saw that
and
one
then,
too.
like, what designations?
Well, yeah, on the podium he's like the bald eagle, and then
Yeah.
for when it's time to step up to the nations, he's.
So what did he say?
So he basically came out and said, "I want to set the record straight," saying he is getting hardware taken out. So we're assuming his wrist. He's getting hardware taken out, so he needs time to recover from that, and the team doesn't really care to send him over there and do all that because he needs the time to recover and then focus on the other 3 races. I forgot what they're called.
SMX.
The SMX final, or SMX championship there. So
playoffs.
Playoffs. Yeah. So that's basically what it was. He needs to focus on the playoffs, and then
are
getting
people
the hardware
mad
out.
about this?
Well, so I think it's a running meme now because last year he didn't do it, and he was big on the America, especially because it was Hunter beating him. I think that's why he was doing it, and they were trying to be like, I'm American and he's Aussie type deal. So he was big on that, and then he didn't do the donations. So you're like, oh, what's going on there, Mr. America? And then this year, he didn't really do that too much this year, I don't think. He was more like, I want to shit talk everyone else, not America, because they're all Americans. So he wasn't saying that much this year. He wasn't so patriotic, but I think people still remember it. So that's why they were like, hey, what happened, dude? You're Mr. America, and then now you don't want to do the donations.
Yeah.
But he's saying it's because basically the team don't want him to and all that. And it's like, we don't really know the answer or whatever. But I will say in his defense, like, he's such a cocky little kid, dude, that why wouldn't he want to go over there and beat everyone?
I think because especially now with the SMX stuff, I think these guys have a fucking gnarly schedule.
Yeah.
And like I've thought about this years ago before they even did the SMX playoffs. If I was them, fuck going to that, dude. Like, it's not a big deal except for like, unless you want to get all, my country's the best, yours sucks, you know.
And I think that's where he was. That's why.
Yeah, it's not really a big deal. And like, dude, these guys have got to be wiped. Like, Supercross goes straight into motocross. Supercross has what, two weekends off the whole time?
Yeah, I think 2
weekends. Goes a weekend or 2 weekends off straight into motocross. Motocross probably has 2 or 3 weekends off the whole thing. That's a good chunk of the year. They have to soon start testing for the next season. You know, they've got such a small window of like rest and recovery time. And now SMX takes that over as well. And like, honestly, I don't know how they do it anyways. Like, I know you see some of those guys going over to Geneva and shit like that in the winter. And you're like, oh, you could probably say, oh, you could do that, but you can't do.
But it's never like the top guys.
Yeah, I mean, you get Malcolm, you got Brayton over there the year he was doing really good. But like, dude, that's a paycheck for those guys. Yeah, it's a good one. And like, it don't matter. They know it doesn't matter. Whatever happens, they're going to go over there and they're going to race their best and they're going to make 50 grand.
Yeah.
You know, and like, that's great. But like, people do take designations, motocross of nations. I don't know what the fuck to call it anymore.
Yeah.
But I don't know. People take it pretty seriously. I just think those guys are tired, man. I think it's a long season. It takes a lot out of them. Plus, where's it at this year?
I don't know.
So remember the year it came to Thunder Valley? Didn't the Americans just fucking wax everybody then?
I think so.
Okay. And then every year we go over there, we get waxed, right? Like, it's just kind of hometown advantage, right?
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know. It's a lot, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot for those guys. And like, I don't blame them for not going over there and racing in a motocross of nations race. Like, I totally get it. But yeah, I guess if you talked a bunch of shit about it and then all of a sudden you're just quiet about it, maybe it looks weird. But also, he was pretty green last year. And last year was the first year of SMX.
Yeah.
So he could have talked a lot of shit. And then SMX runs them until November. Did it run them till November? Right? They do one in like
the end of October, I think.
There's 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
So are they all in October?
No, well, they start in September.
Okay, so are they all September and October then?
Yeah.
Okay. So either way, you have November, December. Like, I wonder if he's just pretty green. Hey, there's Kimberly.
Uh-oh. I'm going to grab the thumbnail for the video.
Yeah. Yeah, but I do wonder if he just, you talk shit earlier in the year when you're a little bit fresh, and then it comes to October and you're like, damn,
tired.
I just quit racing and now we got to set up and get ready for next year, and then it's all going to start again. Like maybe it is a realization of like, this is a long fucking season. I'm not doing anything extra that I don't have to.
I think it doesn't look good too because one of his main guys that he kind of talks shit on and is racing it, which is Chance Hymas.
Yeah, there was some shit between those two this year, huh?
So I think that's another thing. Like, oh, he stepped up, and you know the fans are the fans, and it's not really that like that. I think anyone that gets asked, it's an honor to do it. So I think Chance got asked, and he's probably like, hell yeah, I'll do it. You know, it wasn't really a thing, and Deegan probably does. But I was gonna ask you, I thought maybe, you know, I don't know about the wrist, but you know, he broke his wrist. I don't know what he has in there, but I thought they usually leave your hardware in when you break something.
No, it depends. Pins and stuff they usually take out a lot of the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, or like certain screws, stuff like that. Like, yeah, I've had a lot of operations where they took like partial stuff out, certain things out. Both my femur and my tib fib, we went back in to remove screws. When I did my elbow when I was younger, they went back in to remove pins. Like, I think certain stuff stays and certain stuff gets removed.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, see, there you go. Because I was thinking like, I don't know if they would do that, especially it's pretty fresh, right?
Yeah, it seems realistic to me, especially like you don't want to break that shit again with it in there. You know? Get it out and then. Yeah. This is going to be the most viewed time frame of this part right there.
Yeah.
Whoa.
41 minutes in.
Yeah, 41 minutes.
There'll be a big spike. Oh, you little perverts.
What was I saying though? So. Yeah, the Chance Hymas thing. I kind of checked out of outdoors like halfway through, and it's just because I actually got busy for the first time of the year, and I didn't really have time to like. Motocross Saturdays are a full fucking day, dude. Oh, yeah. Supercross, it's like in the evening. You're kicking it anyways. You maybe stay up an hour later than you normally would, but it's hard on the weekends to like devote a whole day to watching it. So I missed a lot of it, but I saw those guys had some beef. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Deegan has beef with everyone.
Does he?
Just wants to smoke everyone. I mean, I like the confidence and I like it. Sometimes he just doesn't say it the right way, or
welcome to the danger zone.
Or he doesn't say it at the right time, you know. But I do like the confidence. I mean, he's obviously the fastest guy out there.
You see these kids learn in real time sometimes. You know what I mean? Like with the arrogant statements or like the silly things like, welcome to the danger zone. Like you see them learn. And like with him and Jet, there was a time that like both of them did something and I was like, dude, that's fucking. And then it was like they kind of took a moment to step away and then they came back composed. It was almost like they maybe listened to the backlash or they saw it themselves and they went, fuck, I got to do it a little different, which is cool, right? Like they're young kids, man. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to say dumb shit. They're in the heat of the moment. Their adrenaline's still going. And it's cool to see that, you know, people are able to course correct.
Yeah. And I will say, I think though, you know, the shitty thing about Deegan not doing the donations, I don't know how many fans he has wherever it's going to be this year, maybe France or whatever, but dude, I'm sure so many people want to see him just because he is that character, and him and his dad have done a good job promoting their career and just their YouTube channel and everything, that they have the most fans. Yeah. So like, you know, those guys are probably dying to see Deegan ride.
I wonder how many more guys would do it if it was in the States.
Yeah. Everybody. It'd be so much easier.
I feel like everybody would be like, sure.
I don't know
I'll
why.
ride it.
When was I know they rotate, but you know, they should probably do it in the States a little bit more often than not.
Yeah, I don't think they've done it in the States in a while, dude.
I think it's been 4 years.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
Hey, there's a lot of countries out there, I guess. There's not just two, so makes sense.
But to have iconic.
What about
cracks?
Hurlings? Does he race in the
I think so.
The nations? Does he smoke everybody?
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought he was like the dude. I'm super ignorant of MXGP. Like I just don't.
I am too.
I don't know anything about it.
I don't get it. Yeah, because I always watch clips and I'm like, how's this? You know, that Prado guy that came over.
Yeah.
You know, he's supposedly the champion, but then I see him racing this race and he's not that good. But then he'll race this other class and that's where he excels. And I'm like, what's going on here? I don't get it.
Yeah.
But you know, I mean, what's his name? Tom Vial.
Yeah.
2-time champion over there, and he comes over here and he has a lot of talent. He has a lot of potential to be, I think, that great guy outdoors. But if you're a champion and he's older than Deegan, he's obviously a little bit more seasoned, and he just won Supercross also, the championship there.
Yeah.
But then he comes out here and he gets a little bit of heat from Deegan in the races, and he'll like tip over and crash every time.
Really?
And it's like, dude, what are you doing?
I missed a bunch of it, so I don't have too much to add to that. But Supercross, like, I feel like he won that title, but I don't feel like he was the best guy out there. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it is weird, and I've never really. I think I tried to watch at one point, and every name was a new name that I didn't know, so there was like less excitement for me to be like, oh, I like that guy. Or it's just a lot of sand and sand whoops. It seems like this is my ignorance again, but it seems like sand tracks and sand whoops. I do like jumpy stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that's maybe why I like Supercross better to watch. But yeah, man, never really. I don't know much about it, but I guess I always assumed that like Hurlings was like the fucking dude. Wasn't there a race where he was like he came to Glen Helen and was like smoking Tomac or something like that at Glen Helen?
I don't know.
New Tomac wouldn't be hard to do. Old Tomac,
yeah,
that would be hard.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. You figure you would come over here because I'm sure those guys, like Ken Roxon did, and he did very well. If it wasn't for the injuries, he'd probably be true. like a Ricky Carmichael type guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird that they don't come over here more often because, and maybe it says that they're not as confident to know that they're going to win here. So that's why I don't think their best is better than our best. And I'm not saying that because it's like America versus whatever. I'm just saying it because if they were that great, I feel like they would come here, have that same support, and maybe make more money here. And you would race like these iconic, and we're ignorant to the tracks there, so I don't know if there's an iconic track.
They're probably pretty iconic too.
Yeah, but over here, there's like, there's some iconic tracks here.
I think it's one of those arguments that's like, it's not worth having. Like, whose people are better and faster? Because like, there's no way to ever have a level playing field. Like, how could we ever send an American guy over there and like him have all the same advantages that somebody that grew up over there riding on that sort of stuff has, and then same vice versa. Somebody to come over here and have all the advantages of like they just can't. They're never gonna.
Yeah.
And some guys, like you said, the Roxons, they adapt to it well. Does that mean that Roxon would have been like fucking blow everybody out of the water champion in Europe? Like, I don't know.
And weren't the Lawrences over in Europe for a while before they came over here?
How could they be? Jet was like fucking 12 when he came over here.
I don't know, but I think that's what I heard, that they were over
there. I think
you
might be right.
And they raced there, and then they came here, and so it's like those guys could tell us what they think, like the competition wise, but they probably won't because everyone in moto is PC.
You don't think they'll come in on the podcast and talk with us?
Not talk shit.
That's fucked up.
That's the problem.
Jet might talk shit because I said something about him at the last one. What did I say? That he sounded like a rich fuck by paying Anderson's fine or something like that. He might come on and want to fight me.
It'd be cool. I think we could take him.
Well, I'd probably just let him kick my ass, and then I could just have like a $2 million lawsuit or something, right? And then finally I could retire from freestyle.
Yeah, but yeah, dude. I think that's what makes motocross, the whole of racing exciting, just seeing Deegan and all the stuff's going on there. And then, I mean, I do like watching the 450s just because it's really cool. Dude, I know you haven't watched, but like Chase towards the end there, like Hunter was actually beating Chase certain times here. But dude, that guy's so good. He's Chase. Yeah. He's so good. And
he must be mentally kind of weak though, a little bit. I wouldn't say weak, right? Because he's mentally strong, but there was something different about him when Jet was on the track, dude. And as soon as Jet's not on the track,
that's going to be interesting. But I don't think we'll get a good answer because I don't think Jet is as good at indoors as outdoors. Because last year, he went into Supercross and I think he struggled a little bit. Everyone was like, "Oh, is he going to keep the streak going?" Yeah, undefeated, And I know we had like 4 mutters here in the West Coast to start the season, but he won the championship, but he struggled. It wasn't like he was dominant.
He was fast as fuck, definitely faster than everybody, but seemed like all those little mistakes that kind of would take him out of a win here and there or put him back further in the standings.
And he didn't have that in outdoors, obviously. He went
last year,
undefeated.
Yeah, last year was insane, huh?
So I don't know if we see the best comparison to like Sexton and Jet indoors. So we're going to have to wait till next year outdoors again.
Yeah.
But dude, I mean, that Hangtown race with Sexton.
That's what I was just going to say. What would have happened if Jet wouldn't have crashed? You know, like how could you be any fucking faster than that? He came from last to win the race. Like that was pretty insane. And I always just wonder about like on that first lap, if all of a sudden he was just like, that was Jet, like Jet's still on the side of the track right now.
Yeah.
I can go, like you'll never know.
Yeah. And then he comes off and takes a break and he knows like, oh, Jet's hurt.
Yeah.
He probably saw it. He probably watched it.
That's what I'm saying. So like, what if he's mentally weak? And I don't mean any disrespect. I know that's a very disrespectful thing, but I'm sorry. You're a sports badass. We have the right to say whatever we want about you.
We're journalists.
That's how sports, we're journalists.
Yeah.
That's how sports work. But like, there's something there, right? Because all Supercross, look how fucking fast he was in Supercross last year. And maybe it was the bike, or maybe it was like, I don't know, his brain.
Yeah.
He never really showed it in Supercross.
I will say, I don't know if it was like 2 races ago before the last one or something. Hunter was so Hunter won 2 motos, the first motos at each of those races, and I think Chase would come out and be like, all right, and then smoke everyone. Yeah. But dude, on the second moto, one of those races, Plessinger and Hunter were up front. He comes, passes everyone, falls. They pass him, and then he's like, all right, it's over. Basically, gets back up and smokes him.
No way.
It's like, dude, how can you fall twice? Get past and then get back up and then pass those guys. And those guys are on the road. Dude, Plessinger I'm not the biggest Plessinger fan, and that's like the most hated probably thing I've ever said to like people. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I know.
But I'm not the biggest.
Seems like a super nice guy. And it seems like everybody in the pits is friends with Plessinger. He's probably a great guy. But I know what you mean, like as far as just a fan as a racer, like, not my top pick either.
Yeah, I'm not saying because his personality or anything. I think he's probably the coolest guy. Like he's a funny dude or whatever. But I don't get it. But I will give it to him. These last 3 races, dude, you can see he was trying his hardest to win overall or a moto. And it was hard with Chase and Hunter, and there was times where they were so far ahead of Chase. And I know he thought like, I got it. And then Chase would pass him like nothing. It was probably so mentally draining, but every week he would show up and dude, he was up there. And I was like, dude, good for him. I thought that was really cool. And I'm not the biggest Plessinger fan.
He has like really rallied this year compared to previous years. Like I think last year, maybe a couple like better performances, right? Obviously he almost won that one race, but like he really came out swinging this year. So you got to give it to him. That Supercross, he was there off and on, and motocross, he was fast. Well,
I think he definitely earned his spot on the team. I don't know what his contract is, but say it was up this year, I think he definitely earned it. Yeah. He was riding really good.
Oh, yeah. I think so too.
And, KTM's top 3 every weekend with Plessinger. So, good for him. But, dude, other than that, there's, like I said, I like to watch 450s because I watch Chase and I'm like, dude, that guy is so good on a dirt bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mentally.
And he keeps it interesting by falling all the time.
Exactly.
It's not like he's just pulling a jet and like just checking out. It's like, oh, he's leading. This is boring. Oh, he's down. And then it's like, oh, he's back to the lead.
Yeah.
He's just keeping it exciting for us.
So that's cool. Planned. But then, 250s is just Deegan just shit talking to everyone and also backing it up.
Yeah.
And then it's such a bummer to see like a Kitchen and, Chase, and they're just so, I'm not saying act out of your personality. Like if that's really their personality, cool.
Yeah.
But I've been around the sport for a while where I know like some of these dudes are just straight up cocky.
Yeah. So just be that.
Just be that. That's your personality. But you're being a little bit fake, I think, or something like that. But I think that's what the sports needs. Just everyone's there to see Deegan.
Yeah.
Everyone watches to see Deegan.
Yeah, well, he's definitely created a personality for himself, and we were talking about this earlier, like it's so needed in sports, man. Like people have to see somebody and relate to him. And like, I get so fucking sick of the podium interviews and all the interviews that happen at every event. Like, when they're like, we're sending, what's her name down to the pits to talk to Chase Sexton. I'm like, I could probably recite this before he even says it. You know what I mean? And it's very vanilla. It's very bland. It's very fucking boring. Like, nobody really says anything. Like, nobody says anything. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I don't know. And Deegan does. He does, at least, like, you can tell he's kind of talking about whatever he's thinking when he's on the podium. And that's a little cooler. And I guess the YouTube thing's probably what's really created the personality side of him.
And even the announcers were like, all right, great. Now we're going to hear what Deegan says. You know, they know it. So they know it's coming. But there was a interesting, there was one race towards the end there, either the last race or the one before. And Deegan's like, I just really wanted to smoke everyone like 30 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was saying all that shit. And I thought it would be great because I think Kitchen won the second moto. And I thought it would be great if Kitchen came on and just like, well, I mean, Deegan has this championship wrapped up, so I take it easy like on the first moto, just let him win. Just something like that, you know? And then I decided to pick it up this moto. It's just something to throw it in his face because every weekend he goes out there saying, oh, we know Kitchen's, you know, he falls back, or I just wanted to smoke these guys. They're not on my level. Like, you're talking about everyone, you know? So I thought it'd be funny if someone would come up, or a high miss or someone comes up just with something witty. And then that gives Deegan some fuel for later interviews. Like, oh, that guy said that about me. All right, now I'm going to say this. And then now we have a battle and people are like more invested.
And you also have a person. Yeah. I wonder if like some of these kids, and I don't know any of these kids, I don't know what they're like, I don't know anything, but like the amateur racing scene nowadays, I don't know much about it, but the little bit I know, it's fucking crazy, dude. Yeah. It's fucking crazy. And like before, you know, when I was growing up, and I know I'm not a racer, but like even people that raced or like went to racing, like we were still kind of kids, you know what I mean? And we still like acted like kids, and we still had a stage where we like went out and maybe got in a little bit of trouble, or like fucking tried some beer or something like that. Yeah. And, you know, I really don't think that any of these kids have a life. Yeah. And I don't know that, I don't know anything about them, but like, I wonder if they do. Mm-hmm. I wonder if they have anything at all about them, or if this has just been the only thing for their whole life.
Well, dude, I don't know, because I want to think they do. And like I said, I think they're different off camera. You know, because I think if you look at Deegan, I think he has the best of everything. You know, he's very disciplined. You don't really hear about him messing around or getting in trouble, stuff like that.
Well, I think they all are. I think at that level, they're all very fucking disciplined.
Yeah, but it seems like he has fun still.
But too disciplined. See what you said? He has fun still. Maybe they're too disciplined. Not too disciplined because this is what they want to do, but like, dude, maybe they don't have a life. Maybe they don't have a personality. But let your personality come out. But maybe they don't have one. Maybe this is literally all they've done. Yeah. Maybe they don't have one. You know, I don't fucking know.
Yeah. And that's what I think it's cool about the people coming out with YouTubes. You know, I know Christian Craig has a YouTube that his lady, I think, does. And I like it, but Christian Craig, that guy's boring, dude. I'm sorry. But
I've always thought that it was weird. Like it always seemed from the outside like there's been such an obsession with like him and his family and everything. Yeah. And I'm just,
and I think it's because of his wife. I think she does a good job posting out there and stuff like that. But because I think if it wasn't for her, maybe there wouldn't be a channel and stuff like that. And then Chase Sexton has a channel. I just watched his latest video, and dude, it's like kind of like day in the life, and it's very routine and stuff like that. But I like it because, for one, I'm a big YouTube and I like the content creating side of it. So I like to watch their stuff. He has a really good filmer and editor. So he takes the time to pay. I mean, he makes money. Yeah. So his stuff is really good quality, but it's the same stuff. Like, I wake up, make myself breakfast, go to the gym, and then go to the track ride, and then come home, go to a bike ride, and then come home and eat. It's like, dude, you just did that yesterday.
Night, I'm gonna have Chipotle.
Yeah,
well, a burrito.
No, on the wild night, I might play some Call of Duty tonight.
Yeah, till 10 o'clock. Woo!
You know, so it's pretty wild. But you know, and it surprises me that the Lawrence brothers don't have a YouTube channel. But that's kind of where I get the glimpse of like, maybe like, let me see these guys' personality. And you're right, some of them don't really have, or maybe they're still playing because they know it's going to go out to the public.
Maybe they're still what?
They're still playing. They're acting.
Yeah.
Because they know it's going to go out to the
Well,
public.
and they don't want to offend their sponsors.
Yeah.
They don't want Pro Circuit to not get mad at them if they don't say Pro Circuit at the right time during their interview, and they don't want. Yeah, man, the internet's a wild fucking thing that it's like nobody can say anything anymore because somebody will get mad at you, and then
Yeah.
I get it. I do get it in a certain sense, and like it's it's tough to like just be your complete self and take a chance that maybe you're going to piss somebody off. What are the repercussions going to be?
Yeah.
Certain people are uncancelable, right? Like the Deegan's got money. They don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? He can say whatever he wants. Because like even if they cancel him for motocross, which they can't because he's the fucking best, I'm fine. I'm good. I got this other thing and people love it. You know what I mean? Like I feel like stuff like that gives people the freedom to do and say what they want. Like Rogan calls it the fuck you money. You know what I mean? Like if you have the fuck you money, then you can be yourself. If you're still working your way there, if you're Chance Hymas and this is your first year on a team and doing good, like you don't want to rock the boat, dude.
Dude, but imagine Chance Hymas. He looks like a football jock to me when I see him. Yeah. But imagine he came out with that personality and was just like, and then all of a sudden he had his personality and people were like, dude, Chance is funny, or like this is that jock dude that rides dirt bikes or whatever it may be. Then maybe he doesn't have that money, but he'll get that following, and then you get like what you're saying, you can't get canceled.
It's hard. I mean, look, I'm 40 years old, and like I feel like my whole career, like I never showed my personality. I do the same boring ass fucking interviews that I'm complaining about right now, and like I still don't really, because I just don't really give a fuck, and there's nowhere really to do it anymore. Anyways, it's not like we're getting recorded for TV and stuff. But
no, but your personality has come out with like you do those skits for like Nitro and shit, and
that's
funny.
In the last year.
Yeah,
I'm 39.
Dude, imagine if you were doing that before, and people were like, "Dude, Jones is actually pretty silly. That shit's hilarious." And I know we didn't have social media like we do back then, but
no, I know I've thought about this before, where it's like there's been times in my career where I've been like bummed because I felt like maybe guys that I was a better freestyle rider than got ahead further than me, and it would make me upset, right? Because I worked hard, and like that's what I thought the only thing was like working hard and being good. But it's fucking not, dude. It's this much of it. And like I never capitalized on that to be like, hey, everybody, this is who I am. I did the same thing that we're talking about now. And it's like, what can I don't know. Like, I just don't give a fuck anymore. Like, what am I going to get canceled from? What do I do that I can get canceled from? I'm fucking just barely hanging on in freestyle motocross anyways. So like,
dude, actually, if anything, it probably makes you better, because say you keep doing that stuff and people like a sponsor is like, dude, that's hilarious. We want to sponsor that guy, and hey, make some videos for us.
Yeah.
So you're actually probably gaining something from putting a personality like that out.
No, I know that's what I mean. Like the fact that I didn't through my whole career when I was pretty good was definitely like a thing that it didn't help me.
Yeah.
And like I met some guys in like 2020 when I started riding some different shows, and they're like, I can't remember what they said, but basically the gist of it was like, hey, you're kind of cool. Like, we never knew that. I'm like, I guess you're right. Like, I've never really let anybody in,
So I want to end of the show here, but I want to move forward into the start of Supercross season. What do you think you'll be doing? So beginning of the year.
Let's see. So January, I'm not exactly sure. So I have been talking with Nitro a little bit. There is actually stuff in the works. There is actually stuff booked happening. So I haven't seen contracts yet to know for sure, but I think I'll be a little bit slow. Honestly, it's kind of the way I want to schedule my years from now on. I want to be a little slow in the earlier months in the year. I want to, and we talked about this before, but it's a really hard thing for me to get around. Like, it's a hard thing for me to wrap myself around. It's like these month or two when there's really no money coming in or no work. It's like, don't worry about it, dude. It's going to come around at the end of the year. But like, I want it to be off time. I want to go on a cruise. The kids want to go on a cruise so bad. So like, I want to go on a cruise. I'd like to hit a Supercross race and go to one Supercross race. And I'd like to just enjoy some time, I know it's winter, so it's not the best weather for everything, but hopefully I'll be a little slow. I'll be able to enjoy my time. And then hopefully come early spring, we'll have a big tour. I'll make some money. And then hopefully we'll be booked out this summer. I've got a couple trade shows I'm going to attend this winter to try to book more FMX Rampage shows. So, I mean, hopefully I'm not doing much.
Thank you for being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, I've been dying to talk about dirt bikes.
It's the only thing I know, brother.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, tune in next week. I'll be back. See what we get ourselves into next week. And make sure you subscribe, like, comment. Tell Adam
share
what you think.
You forgot to say share.
Yeah, share with your baby
Comment
mamas.
Negative things to me.
Yeah. So until then, see you.
See you, everybody.